at Sabrachi Jewelry Design, or Sabrachi. I don't even say his name right anymore because of Zach. He's a sponsor of Now We Go, and he's a sponsor of this show. He's a dual sponsor. He's a gemologist. He's a jeweler. He's specialized in CAD design, and he's also a branding specialist. You need anything at all done in those categories, Matt is the best motherfucker for that. It's D'Antonio and Klein Jewelers in Philadelphia, PA, and he's also going to be doing it soon to be in Lehigh Valley, PA. You can call or DM for appointments. He's in Philly on 726 Sanson Street, and you can follow him on social media at Sabrachi Jewelry Design. He's made pendants for finishers. We're working on stuff together. It's not just jewelry. We're working on pendants and all kinds of things. He's making rings. He can do anything that you need, from design to gems to jewelers. He is the real deal, and I'm excited. He's a childhood friend who grew a diamond business. He's a jeweler. We did a podcast with him. It's a cool story. Check him out. Sabrachi Jewelry Designs. Mad J's Barbecue, www.madjsbarbecue.com. They take cash. They take credit card. You can order online. Order online. It's the easiest for everybody. They can also call in their order. They got 2 locations. They are killing the barbecue game. Started out small. Now these guys got 2 separate locations. They're doing catering. They're doing pop-ups at Seven Sirens Brewery. What else can these guys do? The Nazareth location is over at 52 East Lawn Road. Anybody knows where Nazareth is? It's down past 7-Eleven, right next to Rita's. Shout out Calandra. They are at 52 East Lawn Road, and that's 610-365-7275, and www.madjsbarbecue.com. Justin just opened up the second location, and he is a part of Willow Creek Brewery, and that is 643 Penn Avenue, West Reading, Pennsylvania. I'm going to be having these guys on the show, and they are crushing barbecue, catering, in-store, pickup. They're doing it all, man. They're doing it all. Check them out at madjsbarbecue.com, and thank you for being a sponsor. Eric K. Dowdle, defense attorney. We had him on the show, and what crazy stories this guy's had. He's helped a ton of people over the years, and if you're looking for help, he is your guy. You can contact them at 610-882-3000, and it's ekdefense.com. Do you have a pending court case? Do you have a court appearance and need a defense lawyer? Do you need proper representation? Felony, misdemeanor, drug offense, assault, homicide, DUI, traffic violation, appeals. Reach out to Eric. Check out the podcast we did with him as well. It has his whole story on there. If you need help, Eric is here to help you. He sponsors the show. We appreciate it. He's going to be doing a monthly thing with us. Eric will be a part of the family now. Thank you for sponsoring. Cool. We'll just do a rolling start. I don't know what episode this is. Never Again Radio. Episode who knows. This used to be like, I used to be like nervous and be like, oh, we have to do this professionally. Now it's just like, and we just start.
That's the best way.
How are you? I'm excited to get into this today. I was able to go check your spot out with Gina. I follow a lot of people that push your stuff, and then I don't even remember how I stumbled upon it. I did see it in the farmer's market from going over to Sailors, and then I was like, I want to check that place out. And then I went over there, and I'm blown away by what you're doing.
Thank you.
I want to try this. I'm severely thirsty, and I didn't get to have the juice last time. That's so good. And it's sweet, too, because I like it.
Yeah,
that's how
their sweeter ones, yeah.
Yeah. How did you get into juicing? Where did you get into health? How did this all become something that you wanted to turn into a business, then that you actually turned into such a professional business?
Okay, so it really started with our son. So my husband and I we both own Green Vida, and when our son was 2.5, he was diagnosed with autism, but we already kind of figured he was from the time he was 15 months old. But from the time he was 2.5 when he was diagnosed to age 4, we did all the therapies, we did everything we could to help him, and there was like no progress at all. No eye contact, spinning, stimming, and in his own world. So when he turned 4, as a mom, you're like desperate. You need to try something else because nothing was working. And I had read about a gluten-free, dairy-free diet for kids on the spectrum that was helping them. So I was like, we have nothing to lose. my husband and I were both on board with it, and I'm like, let's try it. And we took wheat out and dairy for 2 weeks. 2 weeks after we took it off, and then we started an organic diet. He said his first words.
How was that to experience? That must have been extremely emotional, and then that was probably like a powerful moment to live through.
Yeah, I mean, it was. He went up to the refrigerator. We had like an alphabet. You know, there's like an alphabet there. And he started pointing to each letter, and he started saying like b. And I was like, oh my God, he's saying like I didn't even know he knew the alphabet. And he just started like saying the alphabet, because he would always play on his iPad on all these apps and stuff. And so when that happened, we're just like, okay, let's. Was it chance? I don't know. But afterwards, he just started progressing. Like, it started right after we started.
Did you know it was the diet immediately?
Yeah. Because he was no longer getting sick. He at that time he was in daycare or preschool, and kids get sick and they get a cold. But for him, he would get high fevers. Like, any cold he got, it would be fevers of like 104, 105. Like, this crazy, like. The child was sick all the time. He got pneumonia after the diet. Like, we feel like the inflammation went down in his brain and his body, and he started, feeling better. So when you start feeling better, like when you're sick, you're not gonna be able to do everything you can do, So he was feeling better, and he started just developing again, and then we went, a step further than diet. We did supplements. We took him to a biomedical doctor.
That must have been such a relief to have direction on where to go in that moment where, now you have, okay, now we can have a game plan to move forward. And then with having a diet and health, what was that like to kind of march forward in progress that you were trying to do?
So it was just, to us, it was a relief. We could do something for him that would help him. To us, we just wanted, well, in the beginning, we just want to hear him talk. We just want to hear him talk, because they say that if a child with autism doesn't talk by like age 5, there's a good chance that they may never talk. And that doesn't happen to everybody. That was just something that stuck with me. And I was like, he's 4. We have, like, in my mind, it was like, we have a year for him to talk. I need him to talk. It's
a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I mean, he never said mom. Like, he's 4 years old, but 4 kids are having conversations. He was not babbling nothing, just. So once we knew he could talk, he had the ability to, and he started to, then it was just, baby steps. Right now he's 12 and he doesn't shut up.
That's so crazy.
And I love it, because sometimes you're like, you want to say, okay, stop, be quiet. But I always remember that time when he didn't talk at all. Like, so, I mean, he, obviously he still has autism, and, but he's at a point where he's progressing. And I think, like, in my heart, he could live on his own one day, because that's like what you as a parent want, like your child to be independent and live independently one day, hopefully. But if he lives with us forever, I'd be fine with that too. But I know he's conversational, he has friends, he's in regular ed with support. He gets pulled out, he has his own his own aide, and the school is amazing. So it's all his teachers, everybody loves him, his classmates, like he's doing great. So all this happened, and so it gave us, like, they say, health, food is, what you eat is important. But when you see that it's not just like, physical health, that it's mental health, it's everything. So once that happened to us, then I just started getting into like making smoothies, and
because you're gonna have to mix it up, because you just can't.
Yeah, and it was just like, then I started reading about juicing, and I was like, I want a juice, and then one day, I told my husband, I'm like, you know what, I would really like to open a juice bar one day. And he's like, oh yeah, that'd be really cool. And you just kind of have a conversation. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put in my 5-year plan. I'm like, let's just do this. And then I would take notes. I would go to places that I liked. I'm like, oh, that would be really nice. Or, just, you kind of have this idea that it's going to happen. You just don't know when.
Yeah.
So then my dad, he decided to open a gas station. That was like one of his, it was on his bucket list, I guess. He really wanted to have a gas station one day. And he he was going to open it, and people would say, hey, is there going to be a deli? Is there going to be a deli? He's like, no food here. Just gas and, whatever. And I was like, Dad, but people want food. Like, you need to try to do something back there. Because the place used to be a deli years ago.
Oh, so the people kind of wanted...
Yeah, they kind of wanted to know if it was going to be kind of like the way it was before. So that's when my husband's like, hey, why don't you tell your dad to rent you the space in the back, and then you can start your thing. And I was like, hey, you know what, let's do that.
That's cool when stuff like that comes together. And I like how you said your 5-year plan, because that's always the fun part of like going to different places and trying things, and like just like looking at the atmosphere and what you start taking mental notes how you would do it yourself. And then, it's something so personal that, helped your son. And then, I'm sure you were making so many juices that you were like, yo, like this is pretty good. Like,
yeah, was the food part and the smoothie part and all that stuff was easy for me. Like that just came natural. Like, oh, I think this would go well with this and it would taste good. Like, but I really wanted to do something that, because especially where it was in Bangor where we did this, and there was nothing like that. No healthy, I don't want to say healthy restaurants, but like no smoothie bars or anything like that over there.
Nothing like that is in Bangor.
And people are like, well, why would you open it in Bangor? I'm like, well, it was just to get my feet wet. I just wanted to try it out.
Yeah.
And it was just a place for something for my community at the time too. There was nothing like that there. So, so we were there for about 1.5 years.
What was that like for you to open a business with your father inside of his business? And because it seems like it's like you guys both had two things you wanted to do, and then for that
businesses.
Yeah, for that to come together, that must have been pretty unique to see him doing what he wanted, and then for you to be doing what you wanted.
Yeah.
What was that time like when you got to open?
Well, it was a little chaotic because it was his first time doing something like that, and I was helping him, doing that. And then it was my first time opening a, food business. You kind of, you do your research and you do everything, but not until you actually, get to that point is when you're like, okay, like our first day that we opened, it was insane. It was so many people. And
you can never keep up on day one.
Yeah, and it was our first time making the food. And I swear, I think we tested the recipes like maybe 2 days before because I knew they would taste good. I'm like, okay, but we should actually, do it and just to make sure.
You also forget that, like, you like, even like with looking at like opening places, you have to have like those test runs, but then it's like if you're on like a runway, if you only got a couple more feet till you got to pull up, you really can't, it's just kind of like, all right, we just got to, also like you don't want to get stuck preparing too much because like what you said, you can do everything you want. The minute you open the doors, that's when you figure, and then everything changes from there, and then you got to make adjustments. Like it's not an easy thing to do, but for you to be doing two things with helping your dad and then doing the food, how was it like received to be kind of doing a healthier lifestyle in like, in an area that is not normally known for doing that style of stuff?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I tried to cater to everybody at that time. So people wanted a pork roll, like I want a pork
doggy.
And I never had a pork roll in my life. I never tried it. And,
how dare you?
And I was like, you know what? And it was like, all right, people really want pork roll. Like,
they'll definitely let you know what you should be selling.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, let's just do the pork roll. Okay. It's not healthy, but let's kind of have like a little.
Did you like the pork roll? Because you had to do the sandwiches, right?
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. It's delicious.
It's terrible for you.
Yeah. And then I looked at the like back of it. I'm like, oh God, no.
Yeah.
But we had that, and then we had like Italian hoagies, and we used really good meats. We used like we used boar's head at the time. So I tried to do it as best as I could, but really it wasn't really what Green Vida was about. So,
or what you were really
wanted. Yeah.
But it's a great place to start.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, I have nothing against like any of that stuff. It's but I tried to make it as best as I could. So, we had, I tried to do we did local bread, and then we did the smoothies and the smoothie bowls and salads. And then in the beginning, we had some organic, but not all organic. And then we just started shifting. But then when we decided to move, I'm like, this is the time where Green Vida is going to be what it's supposed to be 100%. Like, it's not like if we're not going to have the pork roll anymore, we're not going to have like the Italian hoagies anymore. We're going to have what we feel that Green Vida should have. So, because we're not a vegan restaurant, we're not like, all vegetarian, But if we have like the chicken, it's going to be antibiotic free. If we have the turkey, same thing. It's like going to be, so we use like an Applegate turkey, which is like a really, good natural brand. So that's when we kind of made the shift towards, and then we did the juices because obviously in a gas station, we can't fit a massive juicer there. So the move had to happen to make Green Vida what it was supposed to be.
I like that you stuck to your guns, though. I've watched it with several businesses and even friends of mine that ran businesses that you kind of get bullied into doing things that your vision's not really what you want. And then sometimes the customer, especially in food, the customers gain control and then you're at their call. So, I mean, hats off to you because it's awesome that you had a palate to start on. And what a awesome place to do it, because if it did work there, it can really work in an area where it's going to be perceived better, or it's closer to like not hipster, but like a hip people who are in the know of what you're trying to do that you can connect with. But then for you to actually turn it into what you want, like that's got to be so fulfilling, because it's hard to get in somewhere and then, oh, well, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And then now your business is changing to what the customer wanted, which is fine to an extent. But if it's not really what you wanted, you wouldn't ever be truly happy running the business regardless of how successful it was.
Yeah, correct.
So then when you found, what was the first spot you found, and like what was kind of your plan with opening, because this is now taking it out of a gas station, and now you're about to do what you really want to do, and you're probably less nervous because you went through the gauntlet, and like what was that like now stepping into your actual idea, because you're now taking it. And it's my favorite thing about talking to guests is you're taking an idea out of your head and you're creating it. So like what was that second step like then to get out of the gas station?
So my mind has always been like, okay, Green Vida, this is what, and the reason I named it Green Vida Company is because it's not Green Vida juice, not Green Vida this. It was because I was like, it's going to be a company. It's not just, it's going to be more than just, whatever. It's
awesome that you did that, because now you're not pigeonholing yourself into just doing juice, where now you have an umbrella. And like when I went, and we'll get into it later about like the store and everything, but like you had a great menu, and then there was things on there where like, I am a pork roll person, but then you had, I think it was the turkey I got on the breakfast sandwich.
Oh yeah, the turkey bacon.
Yeah, so like to me, that's not something I normally get into, but you did it correctly to where I said to Gina, I'm like, yeah, I could totally eat this. Like I could, I would go there and get it. Like you're not off my list because you don't have pork roll, but it's really smart that you did it that way, because
really
now you can have anybody coming in and out of there. It isn't a pigeonholed, oh, this is just a juice bar. I have a little bit for everything. So then when you're getting the idea together, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like, now you're stepping into your idea.
So, my husband, he was helping me out at the time with, the store, but he wasn't in it 100%. So right now we're both, we both own and run Green Vida. But at the time he told me, he's like, well, what is your, what do you want Green Vida to be? And he's like, well, you want your business to be big and successful. He's like, well, are you going to find that here? Like, is this what you want us, you're comfortable right now. Like he saw me getting comfortable and, it was running, it was running it. And, but I still had to go into work every day and kind of help out. And I was like, well, no. He's like, well, then why don't you look at, let's look at other places and we can, do something like that. So that's when I was like, you know what, you're right. Like I need to kind of move in more towards my niche, my niche market. So one day I was actually driving through Forks, and I never would go, when I would go to Easton, I would go, 611 always to Easton. But for some reason I went through Forks, and then I saw, rent. And so I called the number. I'm like, oh, let's see which space is available. Because I thought it was one of the little spaces on the outside.
Yeah, because the way that's set up is like and I like going over there because of that. When you go down that middle, you don't realize how many different shops and things are in there, and it's not just a flat storefront. You can go in it, and then it's like it's like a plaza of all these different restaurants and things in there now. So
I thought it was one of the spaces on the outside in the shopping mall, but it was actually inside. So I was like, oh, I wonder which one it is. And it was this massive, like 2,700 square foot space that was empty. Like it was completely empty. There was nothing there before. So I was like, oh man, this is kind of big. Like I wasn't expecting to do something this big. I just wanted, like a small little cafe like place. But, you know, man, my husband, he was just really like, you know, we could do this. Like, you know, I know construction, you know, he does, you know, we had friends in construction, you know, and then the landlord was really, you know, helpful. He really wanted us in there, you know, after we told him what we did, you know, what we were about. And so, you know, it was, I think just like the stars aligned, and it just put us at the right place at the right time. And then, yeah, so the fit out we did, you know, we did everything on the inside there. And then we moved because we had to come to the decision, do we open this as a second location or do we move completely? And I mean, it was like, I need to put 100% into
It's a
Green
big
Vida.
space.
Mm-hmm. So then we opened it like 2.5 years ago now. We're in Forks that we've been there, and it's been great. And then we opened the public market almost a year ago.
I want to hang in the fork spot just because, and everybody does it, but you kind of just brushed over the amount of time, effort, and work that probably went into building that place. It isn't just kind of a run-of-the-mill location. It's one of the cleaner as far as like aesthetically with the colors and everything. It's done very well. Did you design all that? Did you bring a designer in? Who did all of the way it looks with the swings? Like it's a home run there. Because I went in there and I was like, this is in Forks. I'm like, this is crazy.
And
but I mean,
like, what?
but it's developing up, and it's taking businesses like yourselves who are doing the things that you do and taking it to another level. And then it's kind of others follow suit. And then other people with grand ideas are like, oh, well, if they're doing that. And then now you have this collective that's in that space now where it's like, that's a total home run to go over there, that you can get into all the different stuff. But it's like, when I walked in there, I was like, yo, this is like it's like going to a place in New York. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was to go there and walk into that. I was just like, yo, this is crazy. Who designed all that?
So that was mostly my husband.
That's crazy.
So I told him, I was like, we would go to Mexico a lot. We used to have a business down there, but you know, I would always see these places with green walls. I'm like, I want a green wall. That's all I ask is my big green wall with my big logo. With Green Vida logo, and and then whatever, we'll figure out the rest. But I wanted to. So he's like, okay, so why don't we do this? And then he's like, why don't we do a pergola? And then let's do the swings that we saw down there. So
yeah, I love that you were taking things from destinations and places you've went, and it's like you get to bring a part of a place that you love and then put that culture or the design and aspects into your business. And it really, like, that is, there's not a nook and cranny that doesn't, it's a hug. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you walk in and then, Gina's like, oh, well, go sit over here. And I'm like, yo, this is such a cool place to and then I'm looking at it, I'm like, everybody has that spot. Like, then I looked and saw where the swing was and I was like, oh, that's a cool place. Oh, over there is where you would kind of set up with your computer. And then it's like, there isn't an inch of that wasn't thought out. So kind of walk me through the whole design.
Thank you for noticing that. That's really cool. Well, so we knew we were near Lafayette, so we wanted to have, bar seating in case, students wanted to come and study, or just like, because people that sit at the bar is usually when they're by themselves. And so we wanted to make sure we had enough outlets and then USB ports. And then we wanted to have an area more like a loungy area, just to kind of sit and hang out and have coffee, which is the area underneath the pergola.
Yeah, I think that's where we sat.
Yeah, and the reason we put the pergola in was because it's so high, and I'm like, it needs something else here. So, my husband's like, let's just do a pergola. I mean, it's high enough here, so the ceilings are high enough. And then the swings, we we want to make sure they were tethered, so he tethered them to the floor. He did the whole thing, like, everything up to, I don't know how he comes up with all these things, but he was able to design that. And then he did, the tile work. The only thing he didn't do was the millwork, which is like the cabinets, but it was mostly because of time constraints. But yeah, everything was designed by him, or, both of us together.
Super impressive.
So the only thing we wish we would have changed a little bit was maybe having a bigger kitchen area, like for refrigeration. We didn't think we would be needing, using so much space, but we do because of so much of the fresh produce that we use for the juicing. But we've managed a way around it. Like, there's, we have we go through it so quickly now that it works out okay now. So we just order more frequently. That's about it. But
what was it like setting up? Because you have a solid area, and it seemed like you have a solid crew. Everybody definitely seems like they're trained, but it kind of seems like you have a system going on. Now, how was that was that something that you had at the gas station, and then you kind of grew it a little bit bigger? Or is it something that you kind of like when you had way more space, you're like, okay, cool, we can have the coffee over here, and we can get into that too before we get over the public market. But like you had your coffee area, then you had, like a food thing, and then in the back you had the juicing going on. When you saw that, like who designed the flow of it, and was it things that you learned from the gas station?
Yes, 100%. So we definitely learned a lot from the gas station. Even though it was a tiny space, we kind of knew what was, for example, just to do smoothies, we used the drawer freezer. So we just open a drawer and then be able to just take stuff out like that. We didn't have to take out buckets, and then so we wanted to make it flow easier. We always like having the open kitchen concept, because our motto is real food made with love and transparency. So the transparency part of it is we want people to know that what they're eating, what it's made with, where it was made, how it was made, as much information as I can, give them, then that's what they get. So the open kitchen, people can see, they're not like up close, but they can see that their food is being made right then and there. Everything's chopped up at the moment that it's ordered. It's not like...
And you can watch as well.
Yeah. So that's why there's like such a big, open area, outside so people can see. And then, yeah, we did try to develop some systems because we want to make sure that we could replicate it. So kind of we want to operate like a franchise.
Absolutely.
Because we don't want to be stuck in there the whole time. So right now, our business is open right now. I'm here. My husband's, working on a house that he's fixing. But but our businesses are open because everybody's trained. They know what to do. They know everything's weighed. Everything's measured. We don't have a chef. Everybody is cross-trained. So, if one person calls out, someone can step in. We don't have that one person that only does that one thing.
Yeah. It's the best way to do it too.
So, obviously we have people that have, a little bit more experience than others and that are like shift leaders, but, it's more of having people kind of, what did they say? Like just having a system in place for everybody to be able to know what they're doing.
When did you decide that you wanted to do coffee? Was that something that you wanted to do the entire time? And then, that whole thing when you were explaining it to me, I was like, man, like there's a really good food, and then the juice is insane. And then to put a really high level roasted coffee in there on top of it. Are you a coffee lover? Where did the because it's not like you just added coffee or are getting coffee from the restaurant store. You obviously have a passion for coffee. Yeah. Where did that come from?
So we're Colombian. I was born here, but my parents are Colombian. My husband's Colombian, so we're 100% Colombian. And coffee down there is like, it's part of our culture. It's not just like, oh, I need to study or I need to wake up, let me drink coffee. It's like just something. It's a part of it's part of who we are. So we've always been picky about our coffees, but we wanted to open a cafe and juice bar, and obviously cafe means you need to have coffee, and we wanted to make sure we had a good coffee. So in our research, we had heard about a company in Brooklyn, a roaster, and they sell 100% coffee. 100% Colombian coffee, and the owner is Colombian, and what he does is he goes to Colombia and buys the coffee from small family farms. So that kind of, they kind of made us proud.
Oh, you guys were probably so excited when you found that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because you couldn't, you can have Colombian coffee, but just to know that there's someone going to these small farms, because they're exploited over there too, just like everywhere else. They, these big, coffee corporations, buy from them, for not a lot, they don't get a lot of money for their coffee, but there's this person coming in, buying directly from them. So it's not direct, it's not fair trade, it's direct trade. So because he's going directly to the person, He's getting the coffee, and then he dry mills it, or the company Devoción is the name of the company. They dry mill it in Bogota in Colombia, and then they FedEx it to the roaster in Brooklyn. So it's not going in shipping containers. It's not sitting in like a container for months, or crossing the ocean and then sitting in a warehouse to be bought from XYZ roaster. So they do everything. So it's seed to cup, farm to cup. That's
so awesome.
Their motto is they have farm fresh coffee. So we are getting coffee that's been picked like weeks ago. Like not even, it could be
because they have like a timestamp on the bags.
Yes,
don't they?
So they have a green date and then they have a roast date on the bag.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was looking at it. I was like, because I think I asked you, and then when you were explaining it, or you have a sign up, I was like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah. So every time you go in a Green Vida, you'll see the green date of the coffee you're going to be ordering. So if the green date, let's say, is January 25th and roast date February 2nd. It means that the coffee was picked January 25th and roasted, February 2nd. So it's like a matter of a few days to like maybe 3-4 weeks that you're getting like this fresh coffee. Whereas, and other roasters, they do have fresh roasted coffee, but you don't know how old the bean has been. So it does make a big difference. And then if you're really into coffee and you drink coffee like black, you'll notice like the difference. So a lot of our, most of our customers that buy coffee, they never ask for sugar. They drink it.
Yeah.
Because it's really good.
Yeah. So. What was that like, getting that added to it with your culture behind it and just something that you guys wanted to bring to the table? What was that like did you ever have that coffee before? Or did you guys have to drive into the city and like sit down and do like a tasting? I'm just kind of picturing how that went about it. That must have been so fun to be able to be like, yes, we can give people what our culture, and this is how you drink coffee, and you don't need to put all this stuff in it, and it's super fresh, and we're not getting it off of here, and like everything you explained, it's like that's the way you want to do it. Like hats off to you. You know what I mean? For some people stop somewhere and they don't see what's behind it. And then some people are curious, and it's like, all right, well, how do I get it fresher than that? Or I don't like the way this is happening. And some people settle for that. And then the fact that you went around that and found exactly what you wanted. And when you were proud to tell me about that coffee, and like that spoke so much when I was in that place. Yeah. What was it like for you guys to sit down and have that coffee and be able to give the Colombian coffee experience to your customers on top of already a juice and food spot?
It was great. And it's not our company, but we're just so proud to just have it there just because of what they do. Because they're a very transparent company too. Like you will know where that coffee comes from. You'll know what family it comes from, and they take care of their farmers. And yes, it's in another country, but it's just like here, you take care of your farmers here. To us, we're taking care of a little bit of our, piece of homeland over there as well. So it was really, when we had heard about it, and we went to Brooklyn to try it. We loved it. And then we just looked into it, and then they brought everything. They gave us, they said you cannot sell our coffee unless you have this machine. Yeah. And unless you take these courses.
I love that.
They're also very passionate about.
Did you take courses there, or did you have to take did they send you somewhere?
No, we went there to the roaster in Brooklyn.
I love that. Yeah, I didn't know roasters did that.
Yeah, I know. I didn't either. And I was like, thank God.
It makes sense, because it's like if you're making a bad cup of coffee and then, I don't want that brand because it's sour. And then, all right, well, the person's making it wrong. Yeah. And then you don't realize how much consistency has to be in with that. And then, that must be nerve-wracking for a coffee company to trust people to do that. But what was that like going down into the city and making coffee? And that must have been a blast.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, we learned a lot more than we knew. They taught us like, this is a good coffee, this is not. And then we tried the espresso. And my husband's the one he is really good with coffee. Like he can see the way it pours. Like, no, that's too bitter. No, that's too sour.
I love that.
And he'll come in and he'll
quality
try
control.
And he's like, no, he's like, this isn't wrong. And then he'll reset the machine. And he's the coffee and the juice guy. So but it was really cool to see how you know, how they, you know, they teach you how it's done and why, and like the roast, the type of roast. So you would think, like, let's say you see a dark roast, you think that would have more caffeine in it. Well, no, the lighter the roast, the more caffeine. So a lot of times, like, you're kind of educating customers. They're like, oh, do you have a dark roast? I'm like, no, we only have one roast, one coffee. Like, we don't have all these different types of coffees. We just have one type of coffee. I mean, they sell different ones from different regions of Colombia, but we always get the same one. We stick to one. So
it's smarter to do it that way. It's less, well, now, you know, you have to be making different coffees and different machines and then training people on how to make that cup of coffee, where if you have the coffee you love, and it's hard enough to just be teaching someone to make a fantastic cup of coffee until they get it, it'd be way smarter to just do one. And then plus it's not also, you know, you have coffee in there, but it's not your staple of what you're doing.
Yeah, no, we just want to have a really good cup of coffee. You know, we don't do flavorings. We don't, you know, we'll do like a mocha latte. We'll use organic.
I think that's what I got.
Yeah.
It was so good.
We use organic dark chocolate. That's it. As people want, I mean, that's the only thing that's kind of flavored because of the chocolate. But other than that,
And I didn't know till I started looking into it that they use chocolates, and then when you know, when I had yours, then you start going to other places and you start realizing what syrup tastes like as opposed to like
real
actual chocolate and who's using powder. And then it's funny when people call people coffee snobs, but you actually get educated on what is the best way to do it and what is a shortcut or a corner.
Or a cheaper way.
Yeah. I mean, that was the other thing I wanted to point out too, is like you stuck to your guns with wanting that style coffee. I mean, you could have easily gotten coffee anywhere and just white labeled it and put your logo on it and then just hoped people bought it because they like your juice, and then even, oh, well, the juice is really good, but the coffee's okay.
Correct.
And then, but then it's like you went a step further, and it's like you want the juice, the food, the atmosphere. You want everything to hit a home run, and I think you guys pulled it off perfectly.
Thank you.
That spot is so killer. It's the coffee, the where, like, because we set off in the corner. I think we were under the pergola. It was just it's just such awesome vibes there. And then when did you guys decide that you wanted another store?
So really we were approached by the Easton Public Market. They really wanted to bring a vendor in there that would sell, like, you know, salads, you know, healthier, like vegan items, something to cater to that type of a consumer, you know, the health conscious consumer. So they, you know, they approached us, and this was like mid-pandemic. You know, he's like, do you think would you be interested in bringing in Green Vida? And at the time, I know Fieldstone had left, and I thought it was that location, that space, and I thought they wanted us to bring in like Green Vida with coffee, and I'm like, how are we going to fit everything in there? And I was like, well, yeah, 100% yes, we're in. And then when we had the meeting, they're like, well, would you be willing to just bring in Green Vida without the coffee? And we're like, yes, 100%.
They're like, thank you for making this way easier.
Yes, because it would have been difficult. And again, we love coffee, and we wanted to make sure we had something, you know, a good product there. But really our thing is the juices, you know, the food, the smoothies. So we really wanted to bring in that to downtown. So, you know, once we agreed to that, everybody was, you know, supportive. Again, my husband did the build out there, and, you know, we did the big green wall, and we kind of had like a little version of what we have at Forks. Now, we couldn't bring everything over, but it's a good idea. You know, it's going to be, the market's really kind of a window towards what Green Vida is. You know, it's kind of looking, and a lot of people find us because they go to the market and they see, oh, what's this? They look us up and like, oh, they have their own, you know, a flagship store. Let's try them out. And
that wall is such a it's such a social media picture. It's such a destination as to, because now that I've been to both, it's almost like that green wall is like your staple of like, hey, we're here. And, you know, as soon as you walk in, because you're directly across from Sailors.
Yep.
Yeah, so like as soon as you walk in, it's like it's right over there, because it's like I think on the corner is what, seafood?
Yeah, seafood, noodles, Sailors in the front, and then it's us right after the seafood place. Yeah. So we're right at the front entrance, which was awesome. You know, because it's, and then yes, you walk in and you see a big green wall, and it looks really nice. And then there's other stores that are colorful. It really like, I feel like the market is right now such like a perfect combination of of vendors and restaurants, and it's like it's really cool to go in there. I know people that say, well, I haven't been there. I'm like, oh my God, you have to go. It's so, even if it's just to walk around, it's just so great to see.
Yeah, because there's so many vendors and stuff that I haven't been able to hit everybody up in there. And it's just like, I come into for Sailors a lot. That's where my relationship with them started. Is a friend of mine who did competition barbecue, Chris Muma. He had introduced me to Tim, and then I started working with him with the burgers. And then the more I've been spending time in Easton, it's just such a cool mix of so many different businesses. And I'll go the back way, and sometimes I'll take my little motorcycle, and then it's like it's the things of the city that I loved when I lived there, or like that I want from going to New York and whatnot. But it's just a small little version of it, but it fills the itch up enough that I don't have to drive 3 hours and deal with traffic.
Yeah.
So like, it's cool that you can go in there and get a beer and sit down, or you can go over and get juice, but you can also buy your meats, and then the ramen's there. And then it's like, sometimes it's like, there's so much stuff going on. It's actually hard to pay attention to how unique that space is and what it's done for Easton.
Yeah, it's incredible. The GEDP, which is the Greater Eastern Development, GEDP. They did really. They do the nonprofit. They do the Easton Farmers Market, the Easton Public Market, and I think a couple other things. But they do Bacon Fest. So they really, they really care for Easton. They try to bring in, new vendors, and they help the vendors out too. During the pandemic, I know they're really, everybody was working together, and it's an awesome community to be part of, really. We're so happy to be. I mean, I know Forks is Easton, so that's why I say we love Easton, because we're in 2 little areas of Easton, like kind of the suburbs, even though they're like 7 minutes apart.
Yeah.
But they're
different. I know exactly, because it's like you hit College Hill even, and then it's like you have the college area, but then once you come down the hill and get into Easton, it's it's busy. There's a lot going on. There's a ton of restaurants. I mean, Easton has just crushed it, absolutely crushed, revitalizing that town and bringing all that food in there and the different shops. And, we were talking a little bit beforehand where it's like Easton business owners just really coexist with each other and kind of push the boundaries of what they should do, the support. I mean, the Easton Out Loud. It's the amount of stuff that actually goes on that supports back in is nuts. Now, do you get involved with the farmers market, or do you have enough pull from people from the farmers market because you're so close?
Yes. So we haven't been in the farmers market. It was funny because originally we wanted to be in the farmers market, and then they were like, well, why are you interested in being in the Easton Public Market? And we're like, well, yeah, it's like we 100%, like we just feel so honored to just be asked to be there.
It's such a good fit too, especially with just doing the juice, because it would have been a headache to do both, which I know you guys could have tackled, but like it was probably such a relief and be like, oh no, like I knew you guys wanted to go in, but then to be like, oh well, why don't you do this version? And then you guys were probably like, oh, that's easy, that's a home run. Now we can run 2 and not have the stresses of two full stores.
Yeah. So, I mean, we do get a lot of people that come from the farmers market, that are, shopping in the farmers market and then go into the public
It's
market.
hand in hand when you do that now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a good place to be in. And again, it brings a lot of people over to Forks. So it kind of, they go, they work well together.
What do you have on the menu at the public market? Is it just 100% juice?
No, we have almost all the same things. Like, so we do have the sandwiches, some of the sandwiches, the breakfast sandwiches, all the smoothies, the bowls, and all the salads, and then the juice. We make our juice daily, and then we bring it to the market in the evening. So, what a lot of people don't know about our juice is, well, one, they're 100% organic and they're cold pressed. So when cold pressing, there's different types of juicing. There's centrifugal juicing, or you use centrifugal juicers, and slow juicers, which are masticating juices. And then there's the cold pressed juices. So the cold pressed juices get crushed. The fruit gets crushed, and then it falls into a bag, and then it gets pressed, and then the juice falls. So the juice is very smooth, and like there's like little oxidation because the process is so quick, and you're not like pushing the juice through, the pulp through a screen. So then you get like a smooth juice that can last like almost like 6 to 7 days in the bottle. It's there and pasteurized and raw, and each bottle has at least 2 pounds of fruits or vegetables in it. So 2 pounds of produce goes into one bottle.
That's crazy.
So yeah, so when people see the juice, like, oh, it's a juice, but it's like so much work went into making that one juice, because it's all the prepping and all the juicing and the bottling, but people taste the difference. And then a lot of times people just, we have customers that just buy juice. We have customers that, they like just the coffee, or they like both, or like to eat. So we do offer stuff for, we do offer something for everyone. We have, vegan, vegan wraps, vegan toast. We don't do like the fake meats or anything like that. So if it's vegan, it's like a plant-based. So it's all 100%, plants and, vegetables or fruits. And, we do have like a good mesh. We have everything on our menu everything in our menu can be made gluten-free. So our sandwiches, we get our bread from the Modern Crumb, which is from right next door over at the public market. She's an incredible baker. So we get our baked rolls from her for our sandwiches. And we have gluten-free bread to sub it out. So really the only thing that has the wheat in it is our bread that we get freshly baked. But other than that, we try to keep things, wheat-free or, gluten-free. So, because again, I remember when I used to go out, it used to be so hard to just get anything subbed out. They're like, oh yeah, it could be made gluten-free. We'll just take the bun off. And it's like, no, it's not, that's not, there's a substitute for it. So
there's definitely been a wave of the gluten-free, and, you see a lot of people adapting and change. And even with Indigo going in Nazareth, like that was a big eye-opener to, like there's a need for this stuff, and there is a want for this stuff, and there are people who are in a search of this food. And when I lived in the city in Virginia, in Richmond, years ago, I saw this culture and this wave behind the food and a healthier thing. And, I've watched it slowly come into Pennsylvania, and it's been interesting to watch over the years. And it's been cool to see places like yourself offering that, because, there's plenty of people who want that style food around here. And, but then I also like that you have a little bit for everybody. So it's like, it's not a shop where you come in and you're like, oh, well, I can't find anything I like, and then you walk out and leave. It's like you can go in and you can get an egg sandwich with turkey, or you can get your wraps, and you can get your coffee, and you can get your juices, and and if you hang out in there long enough, you start realizing like what you actually put together. It's pretty incredible that you started this entire thing from helping your son and then turning it into a business, but then giving a shit about it so much that like you don't stop on what you actually wanted, and then to even grow it to the point where you and your husband are both running it. It's pretty remarkable what you've done. The fact that you kind of just brush over all this like it's just a day, but I mean, everybody does it. Yeah. Everybody does it. And it's mostly because people who aren't doing it for anything other than the love of the food or the juice or the culture, it's a part of who they are. And it's what this show showcases is who they are. And this is one of the best examples of it, because of how you're just like, yeah, well, like I did this and then I did that, and then like we opened this thing, and then we went from here. It's like you moved a restaurant, 3 times, and you know what I mean? And then plus you have your son that you changed his life, and you have all this stuff going on, and you've just been taking it all in strides of normal life. It's impressive. Where do you see this going down the road? Where do you see kind of like, do you want to get this into another place? Do you want to give this unique style of your way of presenting food to people? Do you want that to go out further? Do you see it going out further? Do you want to be now stretched out to 3 stores? Where do you want to go with it?
Well, yeah, well, thank you for saying all that. It is, I know it does, you talk about it like it's, well, I talk about it like it's easy, but it is a process. But when you do love something,
it's your life.
It's, and it's something that really, if you don't if you put people over profits first, and then your passion over profits first, everything else comes right along. So, everything we do make is really, there's meaning behind everything. We don't just say, oh, let's just pretend, let's just make this just for the heck of it. No, like, there's a reason why we do it, the names behind it. We add ingredients too that are like from our culture, from Colombia. We do like lulo fruit, passion fruit. We do all these different takes on that are also from our culture. But I thank you for pointing all that out. It has been a long process, but it's been fun, and we're still learning every day. But yeah, so regarding the future, we definitely want to, we want to be able to reach Lehigh Valley more for now. Like, so we would like to start doing like a juice club, and maybe have delivery options for, delivering juice to people, because really there's so much nutrition in one juice. Like, if you can give your child a green juice, they're pretty much having all their servings of vegetables in one bottle of juice. So we want to be able to like kind of expand it that way. And eventually, yeah, we would like to open another location. But when we do, we want to make sure that, we have all the systems in place to replicate it, to not like, either overburden ourselves, because we do have a family. We do have 2 small kids. Our son, Santi, and Tatiana, she's 9. So we want to make sure that we can, we're still there for them as well. So, eventually, yes, there's lots of things that are running through our head. We're always growing. We're always trying to figure new things out. So we do feel that it'll happen, just not sure when.
I like the juice delivery idea. The bottles and your packaging and everything you bring over, like it matches the store, and like it matches the vibe. And to drop off bottles like that, like it would almost be like the old milk deliveries back in the day.
Well, yeah, because the bottles too. I mean, I hadn't talked about it, but we do a return program on the bottles.
Yeah.
So when you return any of our glass juice bottles, you get a 75-cent credit towards towards your next order.
That's huge.
So yeah, so if you're bringing back 10 bottles, it's over $7 right there that you're getting credit for. So one, that's in our efforts to be more sustainable, because we're trying to like reduce waste. Our name is Green Vida, so we need to try to do as much as we can to kind of protect the earth and kind of help educate people. And last I think we checked, it was like 2,500 bottles that have been returned so far. So that's 2,500 plastic bottles out of landfills. So it's that's something that we would do also with the juice program. Bring you new bottles, you leave yours out, kind of like the milk delivery man, and then just bring them back, and then weekly just have something, just a recurring juice program like that, so people can get their hands on them, because they are fresh and they're unpasteurized. So we can't, like, when you buy juice from like a grocery store, like cold pressed juice, because some grocery stores sell them, people don't know that they're not raw. They're flash pasteurized, or HPP, which is high pressure pasteurization, so they stay longer. So if you see a juice that's going to expire in 2 weeks, that's not a raw cold pressed juice, and the taste is totally different. So the only way you can really get a cold pressed juice that's raw and unpasteurized is at a juice bar that does that. So
yeah, I never had cold pressed juice. I've juiced in the past with like the Jack LaLanne juicer. I think I watched like a Netflix documentary on this dude who juiced. But this is totally different than even juicing when I'll make stuff on the small Ninja thing I have. This is so, and this is also downplayed. This is so well balanced. You were just like, yeah, like, because there was a point where you were like, yeah, well, like I knew this would all taste good, but like this is ridiculous. How that was layered, and then like how it hung out on your tongue, and then it's like the sweet was there, but it wasn't too sweet where it was like, this isn't healthy for you. Like you could tell it was like, it's really good.
Thank you.
Like I wanted to come up and get juice. Now I'm going to come up and get juice. Like I'm excited to bring Gina back, and Violet. She's always getting into healthy stuff. So like this would be cool to to share with people. You have a very unique business. You have a very unique story, and I appreciate you sharing it with me. I'm going to wrap up just because I know you have stuff to do and family and businesses. I want to give you a minute to plug everything that you do with your social media, because the Instagram is a good follow, and then where your locations are, and kind of if anybody wants to get a hold of you to work there or do anything that with you, I'll give you a minute to kind of go over that.
Okay, so you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. It's at Green Vida Co. So Green VIDACO. You can go on and check out our website too. It's greenvidacompany.com, and we are located. Our flagship store is in Forks Township, right on Sullivan Trail, inside Park Plaza. So when you see Park Plaza, you have to walk through the plaza. We're right in the middle. And then we're also at the Easton Public Market, and that's in downtown Easton. So that's right in the heart, right off the circle. And yeah, I mean, if you can always message us on Facebook or on Instagram, and our email is info@greenvidaco.com. And we also do juice cleanses too. Those you can order online. You pre-order those, and those are made every week. So we do 1, 2, 3 day juice cleanses, and we have 3 different juice cleanses available, which you could also read about those online of what each of them is good for. A lot of people do them just to kind of do a quick reset, detox, and it helps. People think they're for weight loss, but I see them more as nutrient replenishment, especially right after the holidays, or if you want to prepare for something, or for health, to boost your immune system. It's always good. You could always do it like that. And then you can always order online off our website for placing orders online. I always recommend people doing it directly on our website, coming to pick up over using Grubhub and DoorDash, with any restaurant really, because Grubhub and DoorDash are great. It gets our names out there, but they do take a big chunk out of commission rates. But that's just my suggestion.
No, and I was on your website through Instagram today, just kind of looking over everything, and it's not like it's hokey, like it's smooth and it works, and it's easy to use off your phone. So stop using Grubhub.
But I know lots of places I know Grubhub and DoorDash deliver to Bethlehem. So then they would use us that way.
Yeah, nothing really comes into town, and nothing comes into Bushkill Township. So using it for that,
you have to. But.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on. If you're a first-time listener, first-time watcher, it's neveragainstudio.com. That has all previous podcasts. It has links to the YouTube. I'm building up the YouTube channel for what's to come with cooking shows and different things like that. So if you subscribe to the YouTube, that will give you all of the alerts and things for the new videos. My apparel's on there. If you're interested in sponsoring the show or doing anything with Never Again Studio, you want to come on, just hit me up on that, or follow us on Never Again Studio on Instagram, and you can talk to me on there. Thank you so much. I will let you get back to your day. This was a pleasure. And thank you for the juice. That was really good.
You're welcome. Thank you.